Today's presenter is Shawn Towne, National Makeup Artist and Senior Educator for Jane Iredale. Shawn has over 30 years of experience as a makeup artist, and he's worked in both film and television and has participated in New York Fashion Week as a runway artist. He loves helping women achieve a healthier and more youthful appearance with makeup. Shawn, I'm so excited to see what you have to share with us today. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Chrissy. It's great to see you again, and I'm excited to see my audience at Lovely Skin. You guys always do such fun webinars with me, and so it's great to be with all of you again. Today, what we're going to be doing is an application on my beautiful model Lizzie here, and she's joining me with no makeup on right now. Although she does have a beautiful complexion, it's hard to believe she doesn't have anything on. We're gonna perfect her complexion first, and as we go through this, we're going to take some questions from all of you that you can answer. We'll also present some polls for you to help kind of determine how this plays out. So it's going to be a lot of fun. To start with, Lizzie came to us with no makeup on, and we prepped her skin by cleansing it with our Beauty Prep cleanser, and I used some of our hyaluronic serum and Beauty Prep moisturizer on her skin. So her skin is kind of ready to go for a foundation. Before I put any foundation on, I'm going to use a primer. And I don't know how many of you use primer on a regular basis. I'm a big fan of primer because it makes the makeup last longer and makes it look better throughout the course of the day. It also gives the skin a better ability to blend and smooth out products when you're putting it onto it. So your foundation will last longer. It'll look better. And it'll look smoother as well. The Smooth Affair primer has optic diffusion in it that minimizes the appearance of fine lines and pores, and so it makes the skin literally look smoother than it actually is.
And while you're applying Smooth Affair to Lizzie today, I think this would be a really good time to launch our first poll question.
Sounds excellent.
Okay, everyone, we want to hear from you. What foundation formula do you gravitate towards? Powder, liquid, tinted serum, or I switch it up based on season?
I'll be interested to see what everybody's answer is, because I know that what my answer is, but I won't give it till we've gotten everybody else.
Me too. Give it just 1 second and it'll pop up here. Okay, we've got a mixed group. So 19% lean towards powder, 45% lead towards a liquid foundation, 21% tinted serum, and 15% I switch it up based on season. I'm part of the 15%. I switch it up.
Very cool. So excellent. The next product that I'm going to be using on her is our Beyond Matte Liquid Foundation. This is a big seller for us. It's our most traditional makeup format. A lot of people love it because it's easy to apply and easy to blend. I'll put it also onto my stainless steel palette. I use this specifically as a makeup artist because I want to be sanitary rather than putting it on the back of my hand. It just makes it easier to get it blended out onto her skin. I thin it out a little bit at a time, and I'm going to work it onto her skin.
And remind me, what brush are you using to apply right now?
I'm using the blending and contouring brush.
Thank you.
I love using this brush to apply foundation because not only is it great for kind of smoothing makeup on, but it's also great for when you want to do the final blending. I like to go in and stipple in kind of a bouncing motion on the skin, and that makes it look even better. But as you can see, the color is spot on to the color of her skin. This is number M4. And I'm not just putting it on her skin. I'm also going to put it right up under her eyes, on her eyelids, everywhere. It's an easy foundation to blend and apply.
So, Shawn, Jeanette was wondering if there is a different application method for women over 60 as opposed to younger women.
So women over 60, the most important thing is we always want to start with plenty of hydration on the skin. If your skin isn't well moisturized, then you're probably not going to get as smooth of an effect. It might look a little bit cakier or drier on the skin. So hydration, 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 that's important. The other thing that is great for a woman in her 60s is to make sure that she blends the foundation well so that it's getting into all of the recesses, all the little cracks and crevices of the skin. And the other thing is that you don't want to put too much foundation. If you put too much foundation on skin that has texture or wrinkles, then it can have a tendency to look heavier and more textural. And one of the beautiful things about Jane Iredale foundations is you don't have to put a lot to get a great result. And you can see that's just the foundation by itself. And now the color of her skin is somewhat consistent to the color of her neck. I'll tell you now, the camera doesn't nearly do it justice if you want to lean forward and just show the luminosity, kind of do a side to side a little bit so people can see. A slight sheen to the skin, a little bit of luminosity. Perfect. And then before I put any of her Pure Press base, which I love to use to finish, I'm going to go in with a little bit of concealer with a shade that's a few shades lighter than her skin. And I'm going to use the same palette. I'm using the Pure Match Concealer, number 3, which is a few shades lighter and a bit warmer as well. And the way that I'm going to apply it is I'm going to use my camouflage brush. And for those of you who have seen me do makeup before, you're probably familiar with where I'm going to put it. I take it under the eyes, out, all the way onto the top of the cheekbone here. All the way out onto the top of the cheekbone. I take it down the center of the nose and into the middle of the forehead. And I take it in the middle of the chin. I can also go here, 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 and here for those areas that I want to have a little bit more prominence. Let me go back in now and blend it. And when I blend it, I'm going to use my same brush that I used to apply the foundation so that it mixes with the foundation really beautifully. Again, I'm stippling, in other words, bouncing the brush on the skin in little bitty bouncing motions. And what that does is it leaves behind the original product, the concentration of the coverage or the light, but it takes away the lines of demarcation. And as you can see, when I stipple like that, it really makes everything look very fabulous, very smooth. Let's go back in here, turn this way for me. Look up at the ceiling. And it's important to distinguish something. Concealer is always a movable product because to get a product around the eyes and make it hydrating, to make it look smooth and go on easily, it has to have some kind of emollient in it. This means that it's also going to crease. Any concealer, no matter how good it is, will crease around the eyes because the skin around the eyes is constantly moving. So when it starts to crease, and it will, remember to do your tapping, tap, 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 like so on the skin, and that smooths everything out and makes it look better throughout the day. And you'll just maintain it in the same way that you would touch up your lipstick or your lip gloss, in the same way that you would touch up any product. You tap out your concealer throughout the day. We can see she has a really beautiful complexion now. And then we're going to finish this with some Pure Press base, not only to give it some longevity, but also to make it look more perfect and to provide her with broad spectrum sun protection. So using the handy brush in a smooth downward direction, I'll apply the Pure Press base.
What shade are you using on Lizzie today?
She uses amber.
Thank you.
looks so good on her skin too. It matches that Pure Press base color and the concealer so beautifully. It takes away any residual shine on the skin and really prepares us for the colors that we're going to be using. Turn this way. And I'm going to ask a question to all the audience, and let's see if anybody can answer me. When I'm done applying the Pure Press base, before I move on to the color, there's one more step that I always have to do. Can anybody tell me what that important step is that goes with Pure Press base? A hint, it's part of our skincare makeup system.
You guys can go ahead and throw your answer in the chat. Oh, Karen got it already. She said the setting spray. Palm mist specifically was another answer. So,
and that's the one I was going to use. Very good.
Yep. Good job.
Very good. Yes, the hydration sprays are an important part of working with our Pure Press base because they meld the makeup to the skin and give it its final beautiful finish. So let me spritz her face. And one of the things that you'll notice when I use the hydration spray is that it also, inhale, hold your breath, deepens the color down slightly to the final color that it's going to be. So now I'll let that set for just a second, and we will get ready to apply some color to her skin. I'm going to do some blush and some bronzer, and then before that, or after that, we can talk about what we want to do on the eyes.
Sounds great.
How does your skin feel, Lizzie? Does it feel like you're wearing anything?
Moisturizer at most.
Very good.
Very light.
Excellent. And if you will, lean forward again and just kind of do a side to side so everybody can see how perfect the skin looks. And even with that Pure Press base, you can see that there's still a slight luminosity to her skin. And that's important. One of the things that makes that possible is the ingredient deck that we're using in Pure Press base has luminosity. There's boron nitride, which gives optic diffusion that makes the skin look smoother, and mica, which gives a soft luminosity and a glow to the skin. So when we do color on Lizzie, I think it would be a great idea to put a powder blush on her that has a little bit of brightness to it. I want to do something fresh. Let's do Clearly Pink. Clearly Pink is one of my favorite colors. And you can see it's a vivid pink, but when the light catches it, you can see that little bit of a shimmer of gold in it. So that makes it really beautiful for her complexion. I'm going to put it on the tops of the cheeks, out here. High up on the cheeks using my fan brush, which is one of my favorite brushes, by the way, to use. And again, if you've been tuning into any of my stuff lately with Lovely Skin, you probably know that I've been saying blush in a high-placed position is very on trend. High soaring blush is a beautiful look right now.
And the blush was clearly pink, correct?
Clearly pink. And I'm applying it with the white fan brush. And I don't just take it on the cheeks, I also take it up into the temples just a little bit. Turn this way for me. And one of the things that's important when you're using the fan brush, the reason I use it is so that I can control how much product I'm putting on the skin at once. It really gives you a very delicate application. If I were to use a denser brush like our chisel powder brush to apply it, then I would probably get a lot more color at once, but I don't want to put too much at once. I want to keep it a softer application. And as I'm applying it, both the pink of the blush and the shimmer of the gold are starting to come through on the top of her cheekbones. So that's a really beautiful appearance. Gorgeous. Are we getting any questions, Chrissy? Yeah, I'm going to use the Moon Glow bronzer, which is a shimmering mica-based bronzer that has a lot of gold and bronze in it. And I'm using that with it because I want to keep her skin looking luminous. She has a beautiful texture to her skin, so I think it's a perfect opportunity to really showcase that using the Moon Glow bronzer. And as soon as I put that on her, you can see how it just really showed up beautifully. Gorgeous. All right, look up for me. Just going to go back and forth and blend your under eyes a little bit. All right. So now we've done her cheeks. She has a gorgeous, gorgeous complexion. At this point, we can start on her eyebrows. But I want to talk to you all about what kind of a look we want to do for her eyes. Do we want to do a more natural daytime look, or do we want to do a more kind of a fun, smoky look? What do you think you could benefit the most from using?
All right, everybody, which eye look should we demonstrate? A date night glam look or a daytime natural look? Can't wait to hear what you guys want to see.
I love it that we get to communicate with everybody and ask them.
I know, it's so fun. A whopping 87% would like to see a daytime natural look today.
Very good. So for the daytime natural look, what we're going to start with is we're going to start with the brows. Now, I don't always do the brows first, but it's a great way if you're doing a daytime look to kind of figure out how intense you want the rest of the eye to look based on what the finished brow looks like. I'm going to go in with two of our brow products. One thing I'm going to use is I'm going to use our new brow powder. The Pure Brow Powder has been tremendously well received. And one of the things that people like about it is that it doesn't crumble or fall down or have fallout when you're putting it on. The consistency, we call it a slurry formula, because you can put your finger in it and press on it a little bit. It's kind of cushy. And that's because there's emollients that are built into this formula that make it go onto the brow and they adhere to both the hair of the brow and the skin of the brow. So it's a really cool application. Boron nitride, the same ingredient that I was talking about that gives optic diffusion, is also a great ingredient for adherence. So that's one of the ingredients in there. And then there's some emollients in there to give it a creamier, smoother application. So we're going to start by doing the powder to begin with. And to apply the Pure Brow powder, I'm going to use my smudge brush. Now, some people like to use angled brushes, but I love using a smudge brush to put on a brow powder because I can fill in the brow with it.
And what shade is Lizzie using today?
Lizzie is using the Ash Blonde. And I want you all to remember something. With the Jane Iredale color family, when you use Ash Blonde, it has more red in it. When you use the neutral blonde, it has less red in it. So it's important to distinguish that because for a lot of people, neutral would insinuate it has more red, ash would insinuate it has less, but at Jane Iredale, we do the opposite. So the ash is more red. And as you can see, when I put it on there, it just fills in those brows and gives them a nice, natural looking depth and a bit of warmth, which I love because it makes it match her hair color really nicely. Now, Lizzie, do you tint your hair? Do you color it?
Mm-hmm.
What is it naturally? Is it lighter than this or is it deeper than this?
I think it would be just like this. In the summer, it warms up a little bit, and then in the winter, it'll get a little bit darker.
I love the color. I think it's so beautiful. And I was reading an article that a lot of women these days are actually tinting their hair or coloring it because it makes the hair more manageable. When you rough up the cuticle a little bit with hair color, it gives it a bit more texture and makes it easier to style. So we can see.
We have had a lot of questions since you were talking about hair color about like, are you supposed to match your brow color to your hair color, or how do you choose what shade of brow you're going to wear?
It's a great question. And my answer is that when you warm up your hair color, if you are going to go and get like highlights or get a little bit more warmth to your hair, it's a great idea to warm up your brows to go with it. But if you have like dark black hair or dark brown hair, you don't have to go as dark with your brows as you do with your hair. Sometimes that can look a little bit harsh for some people, especially if you have a very porcelain complexion. So don't be afraid to go a few shades lighter. The main thing is that you want the brows to be in the same color undertone. So if you have warm hair, you'll want warm brows. If you have cooler hair, then you won't want to do as much red or as much warmth in the brows. And to make them look consistent so that they're filled in and there's no gaps or uneven tones. And right now, it's such a nice time because women are using a fuller, kind of a more natural looking brow than they were. For a while, they were too dark and too sharp and overdone. And I mean, it's funny, back in the 90s, when I was doing makeup, people would say, oh, well, you're going to have to fill them in because I tweezed them all out in the 60s. And now people tell me, oh, you're going to have to fill them in because I tweezed them all out in the 90s. So
So true.
it just repeats itself.
So can you use the Pure Brow powder on eyebrows that are permanent cosmetics, like they don't have any hair, they've just been cosmetically applied?
You absolutely can. And I actually like a powder better than I like some other products. Like if somebody has their brows tattooed on because they don't have any brow hair naturally,
Mm-hmm.
I think a powder works much better than a gel because the gel won't have any hair to adhere to if your hair has been removed. So, or if your hair has fallen out. A powder is pretty ubiquitous. You can use it for a lot of different purposes and ways, and it comes in a variety of tones. It's a really easy product to use, and it's one of the most popular for people that are loving to enhance their brows. And as I
So,
put this on, look at how gorgeous this color is on her. You can really see how it's looking like the color of her hair, but it doesn't look overdone. It doesn't look like drawn on. It doesn't look heavy. And that's one of the things that also that people love about brow powders is that they really leave the brows looking very natural and yet still very perfect.
that looks beautiful. Remind me, is the Jane Iredale line, Jane Francis would like to know if the Jane Iredale line is fragrance free.
So that's a good question. The fragrance free part of it is depending on which product it is. So we don't add perfumes to anything because we know that synthetic fragrances and perfumes can be irritating to the skin, irritating to the body, and so we don't ever do that. It can also affect people's nasal passages, and they don't like that. So, but there are naturally occurring aromas in a lot of our products. Like if you smell our concealers, like our Circle Delete, you can smell the essential oils that are in there, but we would never add perfume to it. When you smell our pomegranate hydration spray, you're never smelling perfume. What you're smelling is the naturally occurring aroma of the concentrated pomegranate essence, which is a powerful antioxidant. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. We're getting a lot of questions from participants today who have gray or white hair about what shade of brow they should choose.
The neutral blonde.
Okay.
Hands down, neutral blonde looks better on gray hair than any other color we make. I love using it. Now, if you have salt and pepper hair, there is an exception. If you have salt and pepper hair, so there's a good amount of both black and gray, I love using the soft black pencil very delicately, drawing individual hairs with it or lightly shading in with it, or using the soft black powder, but very lightly, and that looks pretty too. But the easiest one to use is probably the neutral blonde. Neutral blonde is the best for gray hair.
Awesome. Thank you.
So now her brows are done, and she's got a nice frame where we can then put on her eyeshadows. And since we're doing a daytime look on her, I would like to use an eyeshadow stick as a base. Now our eyeshadow sticks have been a tremendously successful launch. I mean, really successful, and to the point that where there's some of them we're having to remake because we sold out of them, which is exciting for us. It makes us happy to know that you like them. You can use them as an eyeshadow, as an eyeliner, or as an eyeshadow base, which is what I'm going to do with this saddle. Saddle is kind of a soft nude terracotta color that looks really beautiful on a variety of eye colors, but it's a very nude tone. So I'm putting it on the eyelid, and I want you to lean forward. And you can see where I've put it. Now I'm going to go back in with my fingers, and I'm going to tap and blend and smooth the color out.
That's gorgeous. While you're walking through her application, if there are any tips or anything that you would do differently for a hooded eye, I think that our participants would love to hear those tips.
Sure, and you know, the beauty of a hooded eye with our eyeshadow sticks is that it works just as good on any, whether a hooded eye or a textural eye or an Asian eye or like an almond shaped eye, any kind of, whether it's deep set or not deep set, this is a really versatile product. So using it all over the eye, essentially what it's doing is it's darkening the color of the lid so that whatever I put on top of it will really show up nicely against it and give better adherence. Let's lean forward a little bit. And as I'm putting it on, you can see that the color is there and it's blending out. And I'm just tapping it and smoothing it. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a base that the other shadows can adhere to. And she could just wear this by itself if she wanted to, with no other eyeshadows. If she wanted to do a daytime natural look, it would be beautiful. But I'm going to put it on both above, look up at the ceiling, and below her eye line, creating a surrounding of her eye with that soft terracotta color. Look up at the ceiling. And it's so easy to use. And if you don't want to blend it out with your fingers, you can definitely blend it out with a brush instead. Now I'm going to go back in with a shadow color. And when we do shadows, if we're going for a daytime look, a natural look, never go straight to your darkest color because that can sometimes you can lose control. So go with a color that you can go a little bit lighter than or darker than if you want to. I'm using a color that's similar to the saddle, but a little bit deeper, and that color is called Sienna, and it's one of our eyeshadow singles. I'm going to use this with my crease brush, which is by far my favorite eyeshadow brush.
Is Sienna a matte shade or does it have a little bit of luminosity to it?
It's a matte shade. Close gently. And I'm going to put it on the outer portion of her eye and blend it all the way up to the brow bone, but just at the outer eye. What I'm not going to do is put it in her crease. Lizzie's eye open has a pretty defined crease on its own, so I don't need to put dark color in the crease. If you have a deep set eye, you don't have to put a lot of depth in the crease naturally. I'm going to put the same color on the other side, but notice that I'm going this way, up and out with the color, rather than going in the middle of the eye. This is also an excellent application for those of you who have a hooded eye, because you're not trying to create a crease. You're focusing the depth at the outer eye. Remember, rather than going horizontal, close gently, 1, 2, 3, what we're doing is we're going vertical, 1, 2, 3. And that leaves the eye more open, and it takes away the concern of worrying about the crease. Taking that sienna and working it from the outer corner of her eye, up and out to the outer corner of the brow. And look how easy that is to blend. Look at how well it adheres too. And that is because we put the saddle on underneath it. Really beautiful.
If you were going to prime the eye before putting on the Color Lux shadow sticks, what would you use?
You really don't have to prime the eye. Under the Color Lux eyeshadow sticks, you can just go straight onto naked skin. But you can prime the whole face with the Smooth Affair primer like I used, and then put some of that on the eyelid. And the eyeshadow sticks will adhere to it just as well.
Great.
So, but the eyeshadow sticks really are a primer. I'm going to get that same smudge brush, look up at the ceiling, and I'm going to take that color along her lower lash as well.
And while you're working on that, I have the name for our second giveaway. Congratulations, Jan Knutson. You are our second recipient of the full-size Jane Iredale Lash Fixation Mascara. Our behind-the-scenes team will get in touch with you so we can get your address and get that mailed out to you. Congratulations, Jan.
Okay, so now I'm changing colors, so I'm going to change brushes. And that's a rule for me. When I change colors, I change brushes, and that way I never get a muddy effect. I always get a true color each time. It also makes it faster because I don't have to clean the brush in between applications. This time I'm going to get my eye contour brush, which has a slight angle to it, and I'm going to get a darker color. Dark Suede is the name of the color. It's also a matte tone. And I'm going to put it close right in the outer corner of the eye, overlapping where I put her first color. And I blend it gently into the eye, but just keeping it at the outer corner only. Tapping and blending, open, like so.
That's beautiful. And these shades would work well for anyone, right? Even if you have a more mature skin type.
It's especially good on mature skin because the colors are matte and natural looking.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And I have to say, I love how easily the shadows blend into one another when you use the eyeshadow stick as a base. It just increases the performance and makes it work even better. Close gently. Beautiful. I'm going to go back in, look up at the ceiling with a clean handy brush and just dust off any excess. Although Jane Iredale eyeshadows really don't have fallout, I always like to just clean up under the eye throughout the course of an application. Remember, you can also use your handy brush to blend if you feel like you get too much blush or something. It's a great blending tool. And then finally, we're going to use the lightest color of eyeshadow. Changing brushes again. This time I'm going to get the Deluxe Shader brush, which is one of my favorites. And I'm going to go into Bone, which is an off-white with a warm undertone. I'm putting Bone open. Look down for me.
You're doing such an amazing job on Lizzie's look that you're getting people in the chat wanting to volunteer to be your model the next time we do a presentation.
Look up at the ceiling. That makes me happy. I'm glad people are enjoying it. I was telling Lizzie before we got started, I never get tired of doing this. It's like working a mathematical equation that you never get tired of working. You know the answer before you start, but you do it anyway. Down.
While you're finishing that up, let's review the shades that you used on her eyes. So you started with the Color Lux Shadow Stick in Saddle, and
Yes.
then you moved on to the single eyeshadow in Sienna, correct?
Yes.
And then what was the shade after that?
The Dark Suede, which is the dark brown that I put in the corners.
And then you're highlighting with what?
Bone.
Bone. Okay, perfect.
Bone is one of our most popular highlighter shades. A lot of people love bone because it's so healthy and fresh looking, and it just looks beautiful. And it's also a matte highlighter, so it doesn't bring out texture.
And you're using the eyeshadow brush still, correct?
The deluxe shader brush.
Deluxe shader. Thank you. Sometimes it's hard to tell on camera.
It really is. So I'm leaning her, or right up under her brow bone, I'm putting a little bit of that as well. So lean forward into the camera. You can see how beautiful does that look on her.
That's gorgeous.
And for lining her eyes, what I'm not going to do is a dramatic eye wing or anything like that. I'm just going to get some of our basic, or not basic brown, but our black brown eye pencil. And I'm going to tight line her eye with that, putting it basically inside of her lashes, like so. I take it along the lash line and put it in the lashes, underneath, to give it a little bit smokier of a look, but it's still, this is a daytime look. Turn this way for me. I like doing a tight line rather than lining heavily above the lash. Sometimes lining too much above the lash looks really obvious. Okay. Close gently. And I'm going to go just in the corner of the lash and just work into that with some of that basic, with some of that black brown pencil as well.
Susan had a good question. She says she has deep set eyes and liner on her eyes makes them look smaller. Any suggestions?
So liner above or below her eyes makes them look smaller. That would be the question that I have, because very often when you put liner underneath your eyes, it can make them look smaller. Or if you put liner on the inner rim of your eyes, it can make them look smaller. I wouldn't be afraid to do that on Lizzie because she's got great big huge eyes, but a lot of women, if they have small eyes, I don't recommend tight lining. But on the opposite, I would recommend going on the inner rim of the eye with either the white pencil or, you guys, oh my God, this is my favorite, the alabaster and the eyeshadow stick. Put it on the inner rim of the eye and it opens the eyes up and makes them look huge.
I've been using that shade like that, and it does a great job. I highly recommend that tip.
It's one of my favorite tools to use. All right, so this is her complete eyeliner shadow. The only thing that we haven't done yet is the mascara. So lean forward and just do another real quick side to side. You can see the look without any mascara. When I do the mascara, I'm going to have her lean even further forward so that everybody can see what we're doing. For those of you who are not familiar with lash fixation, this is our newest mascara, and we are so excited that it's been a tremendously successful launch so far. What it has in it is a sculpted brush. And if you look at the wand, you can see, hold on, let's see if I can get that away. I know I can get the focus on it eventually.
I know.
It's a sculpted brush that gives it, there we go. You can see that. You can see the tiny little bristles in there. What that does is it gives the ability to wrap around the lashes really well, but this is a tubing mascara formula. In other words, when you put it on, it doesn't go on like a traditional mascara where you build and build and build and go back and layer and layer and layer. What you get is you get tubes that wrap around the eyelashes in a 360-degree angle all the way around all around the eyes. And what it does is it elongates and lengthens the lashes, and it gives it incredible longevity. So they stay for long periods of time without crumbling or falling out. They also have an incredible water resistancy that you don't get with a lot of traditional mascaras. And yet when it comes time to take it off, you're able to remove it with nothing but warm water. We don't recommend that you ever use cleanser with it, especially oily cleansers, only warm water. If you want to take it off, you can do it with your fingers, just pinching it and rolling and giving a little bit of pressure and then pulling with the warm water, and that removes them. Or you can use my favorite tool, which is the magic mitt, and get the magic mitt, hold it on the eye with the warm water, and then just gently wipe, and it takes it right off. And the first time you do it, you might be a little surprised because you'll see these tubes and it looks like it's your lashes, but it's not. It's tubes. So to get it closer to her inner rim of her eyes without irritating her eyes, I want to do something. Will you do me a favor and hold this? And just like kind of cup it so that it's flat. Perfect. I'm going to pull out the pencil sharpener that's in the end there. And I'm going to sharpen the tip of this to give it a more focused tip for the inner rim of her eyes. So thank you so much. And that'll make it look even better when we put it on. And I'll do that whenever I'm going to put a pencil on the inner rim of somebody's eyes. I'll sharpen it to make sure that it's a nice point. Look up for me. And I'm going to pull down the lash, and I'm going to go on the inner rim. Lean forward for me. You can see that. Turn this way. Pulling down the lash and going on the inner rim. And you can see that that opens the eye right up. I hope that that was visible on camera. I hope I didn't block my own camera. Did I?
Nope. And you can see it. There's a noticeable difference between the before and after. Such a good trick.
Excellent. I'm glad that people like it. Yeah, it's a fun trick. All right, so for the mascara, I'm going to do the business card thing because that's what I do. But on all of you at home, you can definitely do it without using a business card. I'm going to get a disposable mascara wand and put it in there. But it has that same shape as the one in the tube. And as I'm putting this on, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the application. When you do this mascara, here, let's lean forward as far as we can. When you do this mascara, you want to start at the base of the lashes and brush up, over, and over, and over. And you want to keep adding and building while it's wet. Look straight ahead. But you don't want to build after it's dry. Once it's dry, you don't want to go back in and try to put more because that's when it can clump. With a tubing mascara, you really want to apply while it's wet and apply as many layers as you can while it's wet because that's how you get that long appearance. So as you can see, the coating is really incredible. And then you go to the other eye after you've gotten it on the first one. Lean forward and see. Look at me. Yeah, that's a really good lash.
That looks great.
So I'll go over to the other side and I'm going to turn the wand slightly to make sure that I'm getting a side that I haven't used yet. And you can see I have to keep going back over it and back over it and back over it multiple times to get the length to show up. It's a really amazing formula because it'll get even the smallest hairs that are on there, you're able to grab.
And the $1,000,000 question, will you be putting mascara on the bottom lashes today?
So I will put mascara on her bottom lashes since Lizzie has open, look straight ahead, very youthful eyes, and I think she can get away with it. I'll go ahead and put some mascara on her bottom lashes too. Now, mind you, I want you to notice something. I have not dipped back into the container even once. So very, very often I will use a second dip for the bottom lashes or for the other eye, but I haven't even had to do that once with her.
Can you use the Pure lash conditioner and primer
Oh, I'm
before?
so glad you asked me that because I forgot to mention it. No, this is not a product that you want to use lash conditioner with. And that's because if you put the lash conditioner underneath it, it'll inhibit the ability for the product to wrap around the lashes enough to give you a nice tubing effect.
Got it.
So you definitely want to just do the mascara by itself. Now, if you want to do the look straight up. If you want to do the lash conditioner, do it at night before you go to bed. That's a great way to do it. But you definitely don't want to do it with this formula underneath it. Look at that. My goodness. Lean as far in as you can and just show everybody what your lashes look like.
That's
Incredibly long lashes.
Susan would like to know, with a hooded eye, do you add mascara to the lower lid?
With a hooded eye, I typically don't know. But I mean, it all depends on the age of the client. If she's in her 20s, then sometimes I will. But most women over 30 or 40, I won't put mascara on the bottom lashes because it has a tendency to pull the eyes down. People see what information you give them. If I put lots of dark color underneath the eyes, then visually I'm pulling the eyes down, and I want to keep everything lifted up. You know my saying, you don't want to give Mother Nature any help.
Nope. For sure. That looks incredible.
Look at those lashes, really beautiful. And when she wants to take it off, all she's going to do is just get warm water and just give a little gentle pressure, and you can pull them right off, pull off the tubes. So you can take it off in the shower if you want to. And it's fantastic because you don't need eye makeup remover to get it off. And we're doing it without petroleum. We're doing it without lacquer. We're doing it without shellac. We're doing it with a really clean formula that keeps the lashes flexible so they don't break. And that's the beauty. People have asked me for years, does Jane Iredale make a waterproof mascara? We'll never make a waterproof mascara, but this is the closest we've ever come. So it's a really good one for those of you who want something that's more water resistant, because if you go swimming, if you go out in the rain, it'll stay on. It really stays well if your eyes water, any of that. The only thing that will take it off is warm water with a little bit of pressure. So let's talk about her lips. Before we started, I was asking Lizzie what kind of a lip she likes, and she says she likes to do kind of a berry colored lip. So the color that I recommended for her was the color Rapture, which is deceiving because when you look at it in the container, it looks like it's going to be pretty dark, but it actually shears out when you put it on the lips. And then to line for that, I'm going to use the Rose lip liner. So let's start by lining her lips. And you know, you really don't need a lot of definition because you've got gorgeous lip line already, but I'm just going to gently.
So this is lip liner in Rose, everyone. And then he'll go in with Beyond Matte Lip Stain in Rapture. And Lizzie won't need to reapply her lip product for quite some time. I just love the lasting power of Beyond Matte Lip Stain.
Yeah, people are very, very pleased with it. The other thing that people love about this product is that even though it has a lot of longevity, even though it's a lip stain, it doesn't dry out the lips because it's a hydrating formula.
While you're applying that, Laura asked a question. She asked if there is wheat in the mascara.
No, I believe it's a gluten-free formula.
Thank you.
But there is rice curl complex. So The rice curl complex is one of the interesting things that makes it possible for the product to lift and curl the lashes. A lot of traditional mascaras, you put them on and they kind of weigh the lashes down, and halfway through the day they're falling. This, it really keeps the curl nice and lifted. So people love that about the product. So I'm defining that line just a bit.
If someone was going for more of a nude lip, which Beyond Matte lip stain would you choose?
For more of a nude lip, then the Muse is probably our most popular. People love Muse because it literally just looks like healthy lips. But again, I think you're going to be surprised because, again, you look at this and it looks like it's going to be really dark. But when I put it on her lips, it shears out very beautifully. I'm going to just lightly stain her lips with it. What we want it to look like is that Lizzie was walking through the forest and she found the berry tree. And she was eating the berries. And we caught her. Naughty Lizzie, she was eating the berries. So if you look at the color, does that look like it looks in the container?
Not at all.
Such a fresh, beautiful color. And again, because it's a stain, people really love it.
I think I might have to dig that shade back out. That looks amazing.
It's like some people will call it a bitten lip. Look at that beautiful, beautiful lip. Turn this way for me. I think I'm going to go a little bit higher on your vermilion border on this side. Perfect. Very good. So she has gorgeous lips now. Do we want to do a little gloss over the top, or do you like to leave them kind of more nude like they are? What would you prefer?
I could get down with the gloss.
Okay. Let's get something with a bit of shimmer to it. I'll get some Snowberry in our Hydropure Hyaluronic Lip Gloss. Snowberry is a lovely one because it has some pearlescent shimmer and sparkle in there. And for those of you who haven't used our Hydropure Hyaluronic Lip Gloss, this is a really popular formula for people that don't traditionally like lip gloss. A lot of people don't like gloss because it's sticky, and people say, oh, I don't want the stickiness of it. This is not sticky at all. It's made with hyaluronic acid and palmitoyl tripeptide, which gives it a nice plumping effect. There's also a wonderful assortment of fabulous oils in there: avocado oil, jojoba oil, mango seed oil, really delicious oils. And then there's even some lactic acid in there to exfoliate the lips and make them smoother. So people love how it feels more like a balm when you put it on, but you get a great soft luminosity. And if y'all stay peeled to LovelySkin, just know that I think it's going to be in September or October. We're bringing you guys a new gloss too, one that I think everybody's going to love. I probably shouldn't say that, but
Giving away all the secrets right
I'm giving
now.
you all the secrets. Something on the horizon. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's going to be really fabulous. So, Lizzie, give another lean forward and a side to side so everybody can see the finished look. Look at those glowing cheeks and that beautiful complexion. I think it looks gorgeous. How do we like it, guys?
It is beautiful. Lizzie, you're getting a lot of compliments in the chat. Just gorgeous. She had beautiful eyes before he did them. Stunning. Beautiful model.
She really is. I told her she's studying in school right now, and she's all kinds of interesting things like sociology and childcare, but she's also looking at acting a little bit. And I thought, oh my goodness, what an amazing face this would be up on a big screen. I'd love to see her in movies. So
Okay. Let's roll into some questions if that's all right with you. I have a few.
absolutely.
Okay. Crystal asked, she said that she missed the part about the mascara trick, and can he go over it again and explain it? I'm not sure if she's referring to the multiple layers while lash fixation is still wet, or if she's wondering about the business card.
So when I'm doing mascara on another person, I put a business card behind the lashes so that I don't get it all over their eyelid. You as a consumer and as a person who's doing your own mascara, you can gauge that a little better than I can. So most people don't need a business card behind the lashes. It's just a trick that I do as a makeup artist. But the application, remember the key points about this application that differentiates it from traditional mascara. You want to apply it one eye at a time. Don't go back and forth between the eyes. Do an eye and keep applying it and keep applying it. While it's still wet, you want to build. Once it's dry, don't go back over it with more layers because that's when you can get clumping. The other rule, don't put lash conditioner underneath it. Always start with clean lashes that don't have any product on them. And then you can use it both on the top and the bottom lashes. And then the third rule is when it comes time to remove it, don't use eye makeup remover, don't use emollient. Always go in with warm water and your fingers and a little bit of pressure, and then it just comes right off. And if you don't want to use your fingers with warm water, you can use a magic mitt and just hold it on the eye with the warm water and then pull it down in a downward direction, and it just takes the tubes right off. And when you take it off, remember you're going to see the little tubes come off on your fingers or onto the magic mitt, and it's quite impressive. So
Let's see here. Let's get another question. Diane asked, how do you decide between using a brow powder or a brow pencil?
well, you can use both. I mean, a lot of people like to put the brow powder on and then go back in and frame it in to make it look more intense. I personally, I like to use a brow pencil after I've done powder, but some people will do the brow pencil first. But say, for example, if I wanted to go back in and intensify what I have and just make it look a little bit more focused, my placement after I filled in the brow would be underneath the brow in the front. I'll just do a straight line of color from the front of the brow all the way to the arch of the brow. The big mistake I see a lot of people make with their brows is that they put the arch in here rather than out here. Remember, the arch should always be further out, outside of the iris of the eye or above the iris of the eye, not before. If you arch your eyebrows out here, it looks sexy. If you arch your eyebrows in here, it looks confused. So.
I think one thing that would be good for you to explain, or maybe I probably will explain it just asking you the question, but the three brow products that Jane Iredale now has, are the shades consistent across all three products?
Yes, that's one of the things that people love. Originally, when we started doing our brow products, we had some brow kits, we had some brow pencils, and they were pretty colors, but they didn't line up exactly. So now everything is consistent. If you buy the neutral blonde in the gel, you get exactly the same neutral blonde that you get in the powder, which you get in the shaping pencil. So it's all kind of easy to correspond with each other.
I'm getting a lot of questions. If you could kindly review the tip about applying the alabaster to the lower rim of her eye.
Yeah, if you're going to put the alabaster on the lower rim of the eye, you're going to make sure that you sharpen it first. You'll notice that I sharpened the tip. and then you're pulling down the lashes and then going along the lower rim of the eye with it. I'm not going to put it again because she's already got her mascara on, but if you lean forward into the camera as close as you can see that the inner rim of her eye, open, has that alabaster in it. And that's where we're putting it, is just in there along the lower lash line. And there's no ingredients in here that are going to irritate the eye or that are going to dry it out or that are going to cause any kind of problem. It's ophthalmology tested. So
Sharon is wondering how well the new brow powder is at covering gray lashes.
the brow powder for covering gray lashes.
Or maybe she meant gray brows. She did type gray lashes, but I think she probably means gray brows.
Yeah, because you can't put the brow powder on the lashes, but
Yep.
but it'll definitely it'll help to cover the brows that are gray. My favorite tool though for covering gray brows is the brow gel. And I like it because the gel gives you the ability to really coat the individual hairs with product. And I use the blonde the blonde brow gel, the neutral blonde, because you know I'm 55 years old and I'm definitely getting some gray in my brow hairs. I tweeze them out too because I don't like them. But if you want to cover them, it'll definitely cover them well.
Let's see here. Oh, I just lost it. Hang on one second. There we go. Shalou is wondering if the colors that you applied on Lizzie today would go well on an Asian or olive skin tone.
For an Asian or olive skin tone, they would work, considering that the depth of the skin is around the same. If the skin is a deeper olive or a deeper kind of closer to medium, then you might want to intensify the color a little bit more. So it maybe use the same colors, but use more of them or concentrate them more. I went pretty sheer with Lizzie's application. I'm never afraid to intensify color to compensate for the depth of the skin. If Lizzie's wearing amber in the Pure Press base, which is on the light to medium range. If she was wearing, say, latte or caramel in the Pure Press base for a deep or a medium to deep range, then I would probably go with the more of the dark suede, which is the dark brown eyeshadow that I used, instead of using, and just so you can see that up close, that's the depth of it. Instead of using as much of the sienna to create the depth at her outer eyes, I might even consider using something like a charcoal gray in there in that outer corner to give even more depth. And that was the Blue Hour kit that I just showed you.
Evelyn is wondering what you recommend for lip transfer, smudging, or color bleeding prevention, especially if she's wearing a semi-gloss look.
So if your lips are moving or transferring, or if they're bleeding up into fine lines around the lips, then it's really going to be about finding a lip product that has better adherence. Our Beyond Matte lip stains are really great for staying in place quite well, and our Color Luxe lipsticks are another product that's really good for staying in place and not coming off as well or as easily as a traditional lip will. And these have a more glossy finish, while the Beyond Matte lip stains have a more matte finish. So if you want something that has shine, the Color Luxe lipsticks are a great way to do that because it's giving shine without transfer or without bleeding. Gloss, the nature of gloss is that it's an emollient product. That's why it's so shiny. So it's going to move. You have to be careful with it. One of my favorite tricks for people when I want to gloss the lips, but I know the lips have a lot of texture or wrinkles around them, is I'll just put the gloss in the very center right here, so that when she smiles, you still get that glossy effect, but it's not in the corners or all over where it can have a tendency to migrate more.
Shawn, I really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us today. It's always a pleasure, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
It was an absolute joy. Thank you so much, and I hope you'll all have a great afternoon. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye.